Hello everyone, a very warm welcome to a very special Tarmak Talking. We are at Air Force Station Yelahanka. It's around 6 o'clock, the 13th edition of Aero India. It's just landed. But the stories continue. Stories of inspiration, stories that probably not many people have heard. So we are going to today get you some very interesting inputs. Inputs on India's aerospace and defense, and sharing these untold stories. We have with us Mr Velpari. He is the Director Operations of Hindustan Aeronautics Limited. A down-to-earth man with close to 36 years of experience in HAL, handled many missions. And in the last 1.5 years, ever since he became the director, there has been a lot of initiatives that has come in, as most of you would have been reading from all the articles and other inputs that we get you. But today we are not going to talk about orders, numbers, but we are going to talk about certain aspects of Hindustan Aeronautics Limited that you might not have known in detail. Thank you, Mr. Velpari. It's always a pleasure meeting you, talking to you. And, let me take off with this question. How has Aero India been to HAL and personally to you as well?
I'm very happy today that not only me along with my colleagues would definitely say that this 13th edition of Air Show was very good for HAL. In newspapers you would have seen that lots of announcements that had come, starting with the biggest order ever that we have received, which is for LCA Mark 1A 83 numbers. We have earlier orders about 40, 16 of which we have delivered. The balance have to be delivered, which are going to finish this year and the next financial year. We would be ready to take on from then our 83 Mark 1A order. It is usual that we take 36 months of initial time so that all the procurement of spares, the LRUs which go in are ready, so that when the program is launched, the first helicopter, the first LCA aircraft would be delivered in 36 months time. From then on, we have already geared up, which I would talk later, to about 16 aircrafts every year. By that we are confident that we would be finishing it in the 5 years after the first launch, which is from 8 years from today. We should be almost completing this 83 numbers order. The 16 numbers is the optimum order for the facilities that has been established. Some people may still ask, why 16, why not 24, why not 32? Anything is possible. It is only replication of facilities. Whether we need to go in for such amount of replication is what we need to see, or else it could be done. So the optimum that is considered both by us and the customers ask, as on today stands at 16. We could ramp it up later with a wonderful ecosystem that is developed for LCA, which I would give you more details later during my talk.
Since we are talking about areas that not much reported, so let me start with space. I feel the Aerospace Division is an unsung hero in HAL. I don't know whether you will agree with it, but I felt not much of things, barring some odd things that came out. But considering the space activities now in India, what ISRO is executing, from my little bit of understanding, the Aerospace Division is doing a huge amount of work backing the space programs. So could you throw some light on the Aerospace Division?
Yeah, you had given me a wonderful opportunity to discuss with you two facets of Aerospace Division. One, they are unsung as far as non-HALites are concerned, but they are a well-respected, a very good nurtured team within HAL, which we all often recognize them. I would like to take you back. I feel I need to tell you a small story about that, so that we fully complete that spectrum what Aerospace Division of HAL is all about. The very first Aryabhatta, the space which we launched, Many would not know that structure has been done by HAL, which is an order from ISRO. Ever since the successful story, we have always hand in hand traveled with HAL, traveled with ISRO rather, and ISRO has so much of trust in us in all the subsequent programs, be it their SLV, be it their PSLV, be it their GSLV or the Gaganyaan programs, and even in the Chandrayaan and other programs we are very much in. Definitely the scientists at VSSC, scientists at ISRO would vouch for our contribution in that field of area, and we are proud to be associated with ISRO and the nation's space industry. If you have to see any launch, whatever we see, most of us have the habit of nowadays, thanks to the electronic media, we are able to see the launch live. When the launch goes live, every Indian, more specifically every ISRO gentleman, scientist, as well as HAL engineers would always be there praying for the success of the launch. We would always be there, come what may, come what time. We would want to see the success of launch after launch after launch, because it is our workmanship which goes into the structure, and it is the ISRO's satellite and VSSC. We are all from the same fraternity of Government of India, and we would like to see the mission of our nation at large succeeds every time and always.
Sir, I just want to ask you, so from SLV to PSLV to GSLV and now Mark III, GSLV Mark III, all these programs HAL had significantly contributed, isn't it?
In all the programs, if you see the launch, what you see externally, when it is launched, you see a space vehicle in your screen getting launched, and as it keeps going up, you would see the strap-on motors. In some cases in the SLV there will be 2 strap-on motors, in some cases there will be 4. It will get dislodged as it reaches the height. Ultimately what reaches the space is only the satellite. So the space is a different game. It is, as on today, we would be migrating later to the relaunch vehicles. As on today, it is a vehicle, when we launch, the vehicle gets consumed during the launch, and finally what is getting into the orbit is our satellite. We should be moving later to the launch vehicles which are reusable. As on today, all our launch vehicles, or whichever has been launched, have been, once again I would like to say this point so that it gets registered in the mind of most of these viewers as well as those who listen to this talk, that HAL's contribution, what you see over there is about 95% of the structure what you see is made at HAL, made for ISRO.
Interesting, 95% of what we see during the launches in terms of the structures, you know, all other things associated with the launch vehicle is from HAL, and that's a huge contribution. In the Aerospace Division, how much of private participation is there, sir?
Initially when we started, as like any other program, it was entirely contribution by HAL, but as each and every one of us are aware, there needs to be, the numbers needs to be increased. There is a need today which is very clear that more satellites have to be launched, and HAL would definitely like to play the role of integrator. We are moving from doing everything ourselves to develop an ecosystem around us so that we become a tier 1. We launch, we provide all the services to ISRO and VSSC, so that they would like to be the final mission control people, and we should be able to give them a full launch vehicle so that they could go for the launch. We are working towards that. Private industries are also involved, and it is actively being encouraged both by Government of India and ISRO. We hope to succeed very soon. You should see announcement of larger partnership between Indian private industries, public sector and the Government of India undertaking.
Self-reliance, now with this Atmanirbhar Bharat mission, all that now actively being pushed by the government. So my next focus question is on self-reliance, and you know, especially in creating a very vibrant aerospace ecosystem. You know, there are so many things happening on that front, you know, on the LRU front, you know, you will be able to talk better. So now can you just put some thought process on the self-reliance and the ecosystem that's growing parallel?
I would like to once again take the story of LCA when self-reliance is discussed. LCA is in picture. This is the first aircraft in our country which has been designed by ADA. To some extent and also to some more extent it has been designed by HAL. So it's a co-design to that extent. Being our own design, it was thought about right on those days that it would be a wonderful opportunity to indigenous maximum possible extent. I am proud to tell you that we had attained for the first time in the country an indigenization of 50% and more in the LCA, and in the years to come it would reach even 60%. And this being a success story, in the later versions like Mark II or AMCA, this percentage would go rather higher. Just to give an example, this is the first program in our country where we have about 500 vendors, 150 vendors working on the design aspects and 350 vendors working on the manufacturing aspects. Here we had developed a model of Tier 1, Tier 2 and Tier 3 vendors. I would very specifically tell you what is Tier 1 so that it would be clear. We had established for LCA, if you see LCA from outside, there is a fuselage, there are two wings and there is a vertical fin. So what you see from outside of a structure of these, just to give you an idea, the vertical fin is done by Tata's TAML at Bangalore. The two wings, left hand side wing and the right hand side wing, is done by L&T Coimbatore. The fuselage is built as three parts, front, center and rear. Front is being done by DTL Bangalore, center is being done by VM Hyderabad and the rear is being done by Alpha Tokal Bangalore. Thus, if you see in front of you the whole aircraft, you could see immediately count these 5 industries, they are our Tier 1 suppliers. In fact, today they are just manufacturing the structures, they have the capability to move forward to the next level, which will be equipping it themselves to the looms plus the additional pipelines and other bracketry items along with the LRU instruments which could be supplied to us, then they qualify to become as a Tier 1. As on today they are in the area of Tier 2, it is a question of time that they will move there, and we have put in the right vendors so that each of that number comes from them and we would integrate, and HAL would take the lead role of integrator than going for individual.
Very, very interesting, sir. So I want to just ask you, so many industries now playing big role in developing LCA. When this Tier 1 happens, now these companies are Tier 1 or Tier 2?
Tier 2.
Tier 2. So when they emigrate to Tier 1, what could be the percentage of private players or private companies' percentage on an LCA in terms of the work share?
Definitely, if you see the labor portion of it, the labor portion what we have today, we would like to transfer it almost 60 to 65% to the Tier 1 industries.
Right.
What we would be finally doing is the role of an integrator, put it together, do the flight testing, fly and hand over it to the customer. So about compared to our labor, we aim 60 to 65% to be offloaded to these vendors, or rather I would call them as partners, so that we progress together in this partnership.
So that is around 60 to 65%, that's what you said when the Tier 1 comes. In future, will this percentage increase from the current 60 to 62 when the Tier 1 is not the current, when the Tier 1 comes, you are saying that 60 to 62%, whatever. Is there any scope for it further increasing, let's say 5 years down the line, more private participation when it comes in? Will LCA be 80% private and 20% HAL, or that's it?
I would say now we are very clear that we are discussing on the labor portion of it. Definitely HAL's USP is going to be the integrator. I think a minimum of about 30% is required for us to be as an integrator. So I think the percentage would somewhere stabilize between 65 to 70. The 30% would very much be for HAL, so that they integrate the aircraft, they do the flight testing and they hand it over to the customer. The advantages to the Tier 1 suppliers would be, if they are supplying, say for example, 16 structures to us, each of the company, they would, by virtue of their experience and by virtue of them delivering it to us, there will be lots of opportunities for them for exports in the same field, so that they can fill up their industry. That is the advantage of doing a Tier 1 supplier today.
So integrator's role of HAL started some time back. Now, what are the lessons HAL learned in being a lead integrator now? Because quite often there are issues related to the delays in program due to various reasons. So has this lead integrator role given huge advantage to HAL's activities?
Yes, it was there earlier, but I would like to very clearly tell you, as you rightly said, the lessons learned. The lessons learned is be an integrator, take the ecosystem around you so that the timelines to the customers are ultimately maintained. Just to give you a quick example, you would have listened to various interviews of my CMD and others. This is the first time that HAL has delivered very recently. In fact, I had the opportunity to deliver the tankage for GSLV project. The order was released yesterday, and the component which has a cycle time of 6 months to manufacture was handed over the next day. That tells you what way we are tied up with the customer. The time customer is able to process the order, not waiting for the order, we have gone all that step forward to ensure that deliveries are done. Same to that, you will be seeing the announcement of LCH. We are yet to receive the order, but you would have seen in papers and other media, electronic media, but we would like to deliver 3 numbers of LCH by this financial year. So there is a very clear thinking that timelines has to be met, and all possible measures have been put in, and in future you would definitely see this timeline is not an issue, and we would always be ahead of the timelines that we commit to the customers.
Interesting. So when we speak to Air Force officials, they have their own concerns because the user wants the aircraft on time, they want more numbers, all that. So when you see that many measures are being put in terms of timelines, in terms of beating the deadline, you told the case of one space story where you did, at supersonic speeds. So when will these measures eventually set in? Considering that now a new line for LCA comes in. I'm just talking about LCA now. There could be even other projects. So as the director operations, it's a very critical role. So are you putting a lot of impetus to ensure that this often spoken about fact of HAL not meeting the targets, deadline issues, all that will be a thing of past? How long we'll have to wait to see that HAL, delivering at the speed what the user wants?
We had proved it to the rotary aircrafts very recently now, and there is an ecosystem there which is very well established for delivering it as per time or even in advance. The same story is getting replicated in the fixed wing as well. You would have seen the second facility before receipt of order getting ready, and it has been inaugurated by none other than the present RM on 2nd of February. He in fact mentioned it very much in today's events also, that HAL has kept the facility ready before the order. So we had kept our second facility ready. It is not that we would just sit back and relax. We had activated another division, in aircraft division. When the load is tapering down, they are equally capable or more, I would say, being the first industry to make the aircrafts there. They are doubling it up, and to have the buffers tied up is what the tier 1 suppliers have told. I should be happy to share with you that the front fuselage, the first article has been delivered, which has been accepted by the regulatory agencies. The rear fuselage has been delivered by Alpha Token and accepted by agencies. Wing has been delivered by L&T, and the vertical fin and rudder has been delivered. All the first articles required for the FOC has been delivered, and it is center fuselage which we are expecting in the next 1 month. Then the complete ecosystem is there for me for the structures. I have first setup at LCA division, second setup at aircraft division, third setup at the newly augmented facility, and a buffer facility with the subcontractors or my partners. With these 4, I think these are the lessons we have learned, and this has come to a stay, and hence I feel personally, along with my top management, but the delays would be thing of the past, and we would definitely respect our customers' ask that timelines have to be met. It is genuine. Any customer would ask for it. We will in fact, I had an opportunity to share with CAS, sir, you had given me a word that you will be delivering some assets to me so that I could give back the assets. You had kept up your word, sir. I have kept up my word today, and I am delivering the asset in time to you. CAS was very happy. I should mention that nothing gives you more happiness when the customer says, I am very happy. Today it was that day, and I am very happy to have heard from the current CAS.
Sir, so in 2021-22 financial year, will we see 16 LCAs coming? or it will take some more time?
16 LCA would fully start with the Mark 1A order. We would definitely need to fill when the Mark 1A order has to come. As I said, there will be a 3 years gap. Within that 3 years, I need to finish the next 24 aircrafts, including trainers, so that the facility that is created doesn't idle. We would be filling it up, and nevertheless 1 year before we would make all the structures ready so that the first year of delivery, that is one will be a truncated year, in the full financial year I would deliver Mark 1A 16 numbers. Brilliant. We are very confident, and we would we need to prove to the outsiders, we need to prove to others who are a bit negative on this, they are right, but it would get answered by that time.
I did interact with many youngsters. One of my key focus areas in all our programs, youngsters. So at in HAL, the LCA division and also aircraft division, and many other youngsters. So they all say that you have given them access. The communication channels have been opened up, and you have apparently told them that any issues they have, they can reach to you. What is that thought process behind it? Because I understand that you were an opener for your school and college. You were an opening batsman, opening bowler, leather ball cricket. Is that you wanted to ensure that the challenges have to be taken head on?
I always felt on the leadership qualities. That is how whenever there is an opportunity, you take the opportunity and go for it. That is how right from my younger days, I was willingly offering myself. Yes, I would do it. That is how I thought I became an opener. That is how I started with my bowling as an opener.
Did you get hit as a cricket?
Yes, very much. When it is played on a compo ball or a cork ball, as we had played those days, there would be injuries because those times there were not many gears were there, of course.
Oh, so it was not leather ball, it was cork.
It was in a leather ball and a cork ball. Both the balls we had played. Leather balls used to be costly, so cork balls were often for the practice matches.
So what is more difficult, being the director operations of HAL or facing the opening bowling?
I think both are equally important. It is something to do with your passion, that you go and attack with a passion. Here, I do start with the same passion here, especially with the youngsters. What I did is, yes, communication channels are open. To that extent possible, definitely I'll address you. But they also understood that, yes, there is someone who is ready to listen, and there is someone whom their stories could be shared. They had the confidence, and I am accessible right to the bottommost person in my organization, and that is how the confidence in me, the faith they repose in me, gives me more and more interest in each and every task that I undertake.
Okay, since we are on youngsters, this is one question I used to always ask at the end. For a change, let me now bring it here. Lot of youngsters will be watching this program. Lot of youngsters and many people will be seeing HAL's Director Operations, Mr. Velpari, for the first time. What is that you want to tell young engineers who would be applying to join HAL? Anyone who is dreaming, stitching a dream to get into HAL. What is that as a mentor? What is that you want to tell these youngsters they should do?
It's a nice question. It triggered Abdul Kalam in me. I would always say dream, dream and dream, and make your dream feasible. That is what I would like to tell youngsters. In fact, in one of my interview questions, I don't mind sharing it. The often asked question when you go up the ladder is, where you want to go, what you want to do. I honestly submit here my thought process. I limited and I said, I would like to reach, the gentleman who asked me the question was a director. I immediately post back to him, I would like to reach the position of a director. I am quite happy, quite contented with what I have. This particular question being what you would like to tell youngsters, I would always tell youngsters, stretch yourself up, and if you feel that you can meet level X, you always tell you would like to meet the level X plus 1.
You're a mechanical engineer, right? You did your BTech and then MTech.
BE at College of Engineering Guindy in Chennai, and my MTech, thanks to HAL, as part of management training scheme, I had done in aircraft production engineering.
All right, so that's the thing. If you're aiming for X, try to stretch and touch X plus. Amazing. It's all very interesting even for me to listen to these great men with tons of experience in aerospace and defense. So my third segment which I package I want to ask you is about technology. An area of technology in HAL not many have talked about and reported. Memory alloys. Plus, I want to club along with it. Uh, Always wanted to do a separate story on it, but then I never found the right time. The landing gear of LCA, is quite inspiring. It's quite challenging. I have spoken in the past to people in ADA, in DRDO, in HAL, all that. But these two things, the shape memory alloys and then LCA Navy landing gear. Separately, could you explain in a simpler manner so that the people, especially the young fellows listening, they would know, understand the kind of complex technologies that are there, but not much reported.
You have done a much more better research on me than I had come prepared. It could not be better asking me a question on shape memory alloy or on the landing gear. I would tell in quick fashion about these two little stories so that how great things have been done in this organization as a team effort and a teamwork. I am a team man, and my team always, I was very fortunate to say that, was always good. They always stood up behind me so that we could accomplish the task. End of it, I always say it is team HAL, team this division, team that division. That is how I had come, that is how I got supported all the way. I would take this question on shape memory. It was also for an LCA project. It is both there in LCA Navy as well as LCA Air Force version. Shape memory is used at about 190 places in this LCA aircraft. They are being used for clamping. If I had to tell a little bit of shape memory, you just imagine a spring. You just extend a spring. Now the spring would almost, the turns would have gone, it would have become like a wire. You take to a particular temperature, say you dip it at a particular temperature, it comes back like a spring. It remembers that I am a spring, but I have been deformed. When you take it to the temperature which is called as a transformation temperature, it has the original memory and it says I should go back as a spring. So a simple experimentation is always done. Take a spring, extend it, put it at a cold water, it once again becomes a spring. Many of them would like to, what is this, a magic? It's not a magic, it's the property of material. Many of you would appreciate if I tell most of the cricketers, you would be seeing them wearing a very specific type of goggle. That goggle is a shape memory goggle, it's a polymer shape memory. You fall, it would not break. You can use that, I can use it, it will perfectly fit into our faces. Once it is done, it would always fit in your face only. Okay. You can be rest assured, it has that memory that this is the shape. Right. If I am going to be, my face is going to be wider and all that, it is not going to fit me. If someone is going to be very puny, it is not going to fit him. It remembers its shape. There are metals, there are non-metals. Metal shape memory alloy is used in LCA aircraft. Earlier there was a technology barred and our whole program came to a standstill. Without that clamps, the aircraft wings cannot be completed. If there are no wings, there is no aircraft. The foreign OEMs which understand this better supplied us all that 180 different types of clamps, specific area 10 types of clamps which are of different size. It was denied to us. That is the time when ADA thought along with HAL what has to be done. HAL is basically not getting into the materials research. We are always a component manufacturers. We do not want to get into each and every area. But that particular of time, ADA felt HAL's experience is high. If I need to succeed in a very quick fashion, it is HAL along with the technology provider BARC, Baba Atomic Research Center. Wonderful wealth of knowledge existed there. They knew how the material has to be made, the raw material. We knew how the component has to be made, and ADA was hand-holding both us and BARC in ensuring that in the quickest possible time that clamps are made. Today I am very proud to say that shape memory that is used right from aircraft number 1 of series production till now has been done by HAL Foundry and Forge Division, and that has resulted in a huge saving. You could say the savings alone for this program for that one type of shape memory alloy is about 50 crores. Okay. And you could see that savings is about 10%, 10 to 15%. The volume of that, if you would have procured from abroad, it would be something like 300 to 400 crores. So one product has given to this country a 300 crore of work. You do the work, you also save it. 300 crores of work has been done by one product. There are many more success stories in LCA. I thought this particular one, which is very special to me because technology was bought, our aircrafts were not flying, but for this component. We made it with the help of BARC and ADA. Today that's a success story, and we are well in advance on those type planes. 40 or over for those components. They were actively looking for the next 83 to be done. It's very interesting. It has another application for human beings. The heart stent which most of us use is the same material what is used in LCA. That is in the form of a clamp. For the stent we need to make wires and weave it so that we can put it into the veins. So capability exists to make that material, be it for human applications, be it for engineering machine.
Brilliant.
And that was a good success.
And on the LCA Navy landing gear?
On the naval landing gear, when it came, the landing gear in Air Force version compared to the Navy version, Air Force version was very shorter because the shock loads when it lands on a smooth and nice runway is not that high. As you are aware, the naval landing gear has to be very shock resistant. Should have a very good fracture toughness and should also have a good property not to propagate the cracks.
All right.
And the sink rate, the aircraft will come down very fast so that it touches the deck, and the landing runway available is also less. It has to decelerate and get a complete stop. That made that very challenging task. When the forging was designed, it looked so huge that people started doubting whether it could be made within this country. I was at the helm of affairs there as far as the development of that particular forging is concerned. I had a wonderful team. We sat, we discussed, we said we will not say no. We will say yes. We will see how far we go. We are confident today. Thus, I should really salute the then PGD ADA, Commander Balaji. He is the gentleman who said, Velpari, I am with you. Are you confident? I said yes. When I say I have my whole team behind me, it would be done in the quickest possible time. He was thrilled, but he said, I'll always like to have a backup option. What is that backup option? He said he would also like to procure a rectangular material so that he can machine out and take the component out. I could never say no to the customer, but internally we were confident. If he can get a block which is larger than this, I can definitely do a forging which is slightly half of that. Just to give an idea, the forging, final forging after machining, it would hardly be say 80 kgs. The forging weight is about 400 kgs. My input weight is about 800 kgs. That is the sort of material we are talking. Never before made aeronautical forging of that weight. We started, HAL is not even having that facility at that point of time, the high tonnage presses. But we located within that India at two private firms. This is 20 years back, one at Pune and one at Thrissur. We located them with our technology, with our process. We had very successfully made within launch, within 1.5 years, those two forgings, and the customer and ADA were very happy because the forgings were there, but the rectangular material which they have ordered are yet to come from abroad. That was the success story, and you would have seen today in our HAL stall at All He, those two forgings are massive. Okay. And the first question asked, who has made these forgings? I was very happy when someone posed that question. I first told it is made in India, then I told it is made by HAL, then I told it is with the public and the private partnership. Those days, 22 years back, which was a success story which has been created by HAL, and that has become a model for the many components that we do, and it will be the model in future as well.
All right, so all good things have to end. So time for Tarmac talking also to land. It's very impressive. I was very impressed to see the Coast Guard ALH. Some light on that?
Yeah, today was one more happier day for all our HAL folks. Why I should say this is, as I said earlier, the proof of pudding is in eating it. If a customer is going to give you kudos, there can be no better appreciation than that. If you had seen in the morning, Admiral Karamveer Singh sir has in his talk very clearly told that this machine has matured. I am very happy. HAL had given all the customization we want, and he said the first thing when I came to air show, I sat inside the composite, that particular ALH Mark III which has been positioned here in static display. I had seen all the 19 systems that you had given,
They
plus
had asked for those 19.
those 19 modifications or specific requirements they wanted for the maritime role applications have been there, with additional capability of ammunition firing. All that was there for him to see, and he said, I congratulate Team HAL, I congratulate the Team Navy which has asked for all this. I very happily today go and announce to the world, here is a machine which you could consider positioning it, because we are very happy about it. Same is the version with Coast Guard as well. They had also asked 19 versions, few were common and few were different. They were also very happy. Today it was handed over to them also. These two helicopter programs, 16 each have ordered, and the deliveries are starting this financial, about 6 numbers each, and we would complete it by next year, their complete contract. Definitely that will make them to order more, and we would push them with whatever specific enhancement they have, and it has given us a good lead for the export, and no better man to canvas for us than our customer. I would definitely feel that would come true. We are concentrating on exports and it would happen.
So that will be another story. We will be getting to you in future soon. The export story, not just on HAL, from the India's aerospace and defense menu. As I told you, he's a man who doesn't hide anything. Very, very simple, very, very straightforward. It is happening HAL now with so many orders, so many good things happening after probably a lull period. Let's hope so. As he said, one of the primary need of customers is deadline, quality, and many other things, because now with the Make in India movement garnering more strength, more momentum, firms like HAL and other private players in India will have a big role to play, and deadline is one key aspect. Probably they'll have to keep in mind, and as he says, that will be done. Tarmak Talking will be back with yet another inspiring soul from aerospace and defense sector. Please do remember to subscribe to this channel. Please do remember to tell others about all the inspiring things that we specifically get to you. And all youngsters watching this program, remember that I keep on asking questions, specifically keeping all you guys in mind. Write to me, spread the word about the young mission that is on this channel. Aero India is over. There'll be still more stories flying out from our hangars. Thank you for watching this channel. Thank you, sir, for your time, staying back, taking time out. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, Anand. Thank you to Tarmak.
Thank you. Jai Hind.